my Taurus sun, Leo moon, Aries rising. Hello.
Hi.
Let's talk about some early days at NAMI. You're
Okay.
building relationships. Now, at first, it seemed like maybe you didn't like Liz, but then that seemed okay. And then maybe the Soda and Venus relationships went the opposite way. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was looking at Liz a little side-eyed because I was like,
Hmm.
so you're just out here telling people that you have all this money? Because I came out here and that money is life-changing for me. So for someone to speak about it in a way that's like, whatever, it's just money, I'm like, that could really transform my entire existence. So I was kind of like, what? But then at some point, me, Liz, and Hunter actually made a three-way alliance. And Liz and I had a very deep conversation that I will keep to me. But we had a very deep conversation, and that really bonded me with Liz. And for that reason, I never saw Liz coming when it came to my blind side because I never in a million years thought she was going to vote me out based on what we had talked about and this conversation that we had. And as far as Soda and Venus went, Venus pretty quickly became on the bottom because she was off and looking for idols and things as we saw in the episode, which is what we assumed was happening. And so it wasn't long that she ended up being on the bottom. So I wasn't really trusting her from the get-go. And her and Soda, which wasn't shown as much, but her and Soda were like super, super close. Soda was bending over backwards to be super nice to Venus and to help her and to encourage her and uplift her. So when I saw that, I was like, I don't think I can trust Soda because at the point when Soda came to me and talked to me and said that I was her number one, I said two things are possible. One of them is true. Either Venus is still your number one because I clocked that those two were probably number ones based on how close they were, and Soda said as much, so my read was correct. And I said that if either Venus is still your number one and you're lying to me to make me comfortable to get me voted out of this game, or Venus was your number one, in which case you are then willing to eliminate your number one if it gives you a better position in the game. And if you did it to her, you will do it to me. And so there's no way I can trust you. So that's kind of how those relationships kind of shook out.
And I'm so surprised we had an Andy Griffith alliance. I mean, I haven't heard anyone talk about that show in decades. What have did you watch this show all of your life? How did this come up?
Oh yes, well, sometimes there's some of us that are hiding in plain sight. And so we it's funny because I thought that I wouldn't like Hunter. I thought that Hunter wouldn't like me. I thought we weren't gonna work well because I was gonna be the, eccentric, flamboyant, slender guy who they were gonna disregard, think that I wasn't strong, I had no social or no strategic savvy, none of those things. And I met Hunter and we bonded immediately over something so simple and specific as Andy Griffith. And so it's something that I've watched a long time. I watched Andy Griffith. I watched Leave It to Beaver. I watched Sanford and Son. I love those shows. And my aunt Gogo, I call her, she also watches it. So I watch with her sometimes. And it's just a good show. And it's so crazy that two younger guys on the season ironically watched this show that I also mentioned. I could have said any show and it wouldn't have rang true to him maybe, but that specific one was it. So it was very divine.
Now, when we move into the merge, when we're all on one beach together, it seems like you're pretty into the six. What was your first conversation? Did Hunter bring that information back to you before the merge?
He did. I was shocked that wasn't shown, but when Hunter came back, he immediately pulled me to the side and said, "Tevin, this is what's happening. This is what just happened. And I brought you into it as my number one." And I was like, "Oh, snap. I mean, this is great." So Hunter immediately told me about the six, and I was all for it. I was like, "I think it's a great idea, and it's a what seemed to be a nice, not necessarily guaranteed, but a strong way for me to get to at least six."
Right. Okay, so let's go through the soda vote now.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, was it the time? Was it the time to get soda out?
For me, it's impossible to answer that question because watching Survivor and playing Survivor are not the same sport at all. Like I didn't have the information that I have now. Now, with the information that I have, if I had to look and say, "Oh, maybe I could have kept Soda because she seemed to be, in lockstep with me." But with the information that I had, um, I felt that, like I said, either Soda was playing me and Venus was her number one and she was lying to me, or like I said, you're willing to cut your number one if it benefits you. And at any point, any of these people will be willing to cut me because I'm not hiding. Like I can't, there's no way for me to hide it all. What also wasn't shown is that when me and Maria finished on the pyramid in the water challenge, Q
Mhm.
pulled me out of the water. And when Q pulled me up out of the water, Q whispered in my ear and said, vote Venus. When he said that, I was excited to hear that because I was like, oh, great, I have a plan. Q told me what to do. And then when I got back to camp, I said, Q told me what to do. And I said, he's been trying to tell all of us what to do. And I refuse to allow someone to tell me how to play my game because if I get to the end with him specifically, then he's going to have all this stuff that he can say. And then what am I going to say? I followed Q. I coattailed Q to the end. I don't want to say that. So ironically, Q telling me to vote Venus ensured Venus did not go home that night. I couldn't go after Liz because I was working with her and I wasn't thinking about her at all. I couldn't go after Charlie, who was another person that was there. And the reason I couldn't go after Charlie is because on day two, I formed a three-way alliance that wasn't shown with Jelinski and Maria on the journey. And I
Mm.
told Maria, if you choose me for the extra vote, I will repay that trust to you by working with you when we make it to merge. I swear to you, I have the vote card. And so we still didn't know if we had extra votes or not because Maria made a private decision when Jelinski and I left. So then
Mm.
in the basketball challenge, I sat out, the only challenge I sat out of. And the only reason I did that was because I saw Sika had to sit two people out. Maria was one of those people. I raised my hand and I said, I would like to sit out, Jeff. And I did that because I needed to sit on the bench with Maria and ask her, who did you pick for the extra votes? And she said, I picked you for the vote card. Did you have it? I said yes. And we knew in that moment that we had extra votes. So I felt that going after Charlie would rattle Maria, break the trust that I was trying to build with her, make her not trust the six. The six would fall apart. I didn't know Tim was going home. So now Q is definitely going to vote me out because I single-handedly have like obliterated the six because I've broken Maria's trust. So when you add all those things up, now the only person that I actually have to vote is Soda.
Were you surprised that Tim went out being one of the six?
I was, but I honestly actually no. I thought that it was possible because I knew that if you went against Q, Q was going to go after you. Q, Tim, and I were together and had many conversations where we were like, Tim, we're the six, like it's us. And he was like, it's gotta be a Nami. And we were like,
Mm.
we shouldn't be going after members of the six. We are the six. Like the tribal lines doesn't matter because we are the people that are trying to save each other. So you trying to go after the six is complete violation of the alliance that we have. And he just wasn't understanding it. So I thought that if he kept that up, that it might be him. But I was also worried that it could have been Hunter that night. I was like, he's alone. It's a great time for them to try to get him. So I was shocked that Tim was gone because they really did it. But I also kind of thought it was possible.
Was there any thought in your mind that Liz was holding a grudge that she wanted credit for the soda vote?
I had no idea. And one of the reasons that I had no idea was because another thing that you didn't see is that I sat Liz and Venus down together and told them together what the plan was going to be. I said, this is what's happening. I looked Venus in her eyes and I said, Venus, you will not be going home tonight. Though she got mad at me because she thought I said I wasn't going to vote for her. I didn't say that. I said, you're not going home tonight. I didn't say I wasn't voting for you. I also sat Maria and Charlie down and I drew a little chart in the sand and I poked holes so we could see everyone's vote and we could plan it out. And the way that I planned that vote out in that dirt that day with Maria and Charlie is exactly how the tribal went down to every single vote. And so it was shocking to see, like I had no idea that other people were like, it was well, other than Venus, that Liz was like, it's also my move. Because for me, it doesn't matter who is like, I also wanted Soda gone. The matter is who got the votes together. And I made the exact plan and told everyone, minus Soda, well, I did tell Soda about voting Venus, and I told everyone what the plan was. So that's what I think.
You were part of a one of a kind tribal. This was chaos. This was wild. How are you feeling in the moment?
I guess I was just confused because I thought we had a plan going in. I thought I knew what was happening, and then Q decides to, say he's gonna quit. And at first, and I think they kind of trimmed around a little bit, but at first I was like, Q, no, nobody, we don't want you to go. Like, we don't want you to leave. But then at a certain point, he just kept saying, no, it's my fault. It's my fault. And I was like, what does he even talk? What's his fault? Either I missed a conversation, I'm out of the loop, or I'm not recalling something that has happened that we've talked about. I don't know. But at a certain point, he just kept going on and on. I was like, you know what, Q, if you want to go, go. Like, I'm not going to coddle you to stay. If you really want to go, you can go. And so that's kind of how that went down. So it was crazy. It was shocking. We were up, and the fan in me was like, oh my God, it's a live tribal. It's a live tribal. I'm ready. I'm ready. And then the player in me is like, oh my God, it's a live tribal. Now I have to get the votes back in line, because I heard some people say, let's just vote Q tonight. He's too erratic. Let's vote Tiffany. Let's stick with the original plan. And then there's other people talking. No, who knows what they're saying. So I said, you know what? We have to get this vote back on track, because every time we have to vote together, because every time you vote together, it compounds for us to build trust for the next vote. So I said, you know what? This is too chaotic. Why don't we just do Venus? Like, we all have agreed at one point we're going to vote Venus. Why don't we just do that, make it easy for tonight, and we'll establish what's next. So it was crazy trying to get the reins back on that thing. But in the end of the day, you know, they outwitted, outplayed, outlasted me, and they got me.
Well, obviously you're out too soon, but now with a little distance behind you, can you sum up what this experience was like for you?
Yeah. I said the whole time before, well, not before, during the game, that I had already won. And it sounds cliche, but I really truly meant it. Like, as soon as my toes hit that sand, like that kind of an opportunity hadn't come to me yet. And on the heels of my dad's passing and this thing coming to me, and like exploring that and sharing that moment with the fish, and building these, you know, bonds and relationships, and playing this game that I've watched since I was a little boy, and surprising myself, and I think surprising other people, because I think a lot of people thought I wouldn't be strong, or that I wouldn't, you know, endure in challenges, or be as strategic, or be as uh, that I'd be running the show, which I was, and you know, for a while there. And so I'm so proud of the game that I played. I'm proud that I got to play, and there's no way for me to lose a game that you love as much as I do, and to play authentically and fully as yourself. There's no way to lose, and I don't feel like I've lost anything, not even a little bit.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.